Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Jayo Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Jayo Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Jayo Nitai Gaurango. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe. Jaya Prahlāda Mahārāja, Prahlāda Mahārāja, Prahlāda Mahārāja, Jaya Sudarshana. Prahlāda Mahārāja, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद His Divine Grace अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट His Divine Grace भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय. मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय. गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय. वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र की जय. श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय. श्री श्री निताय गौरांग की जय. श्री श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंह देव की जय. हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय. समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. ग्रंथरा Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam की जय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 7th Canto, 9th Chapter, text number 46. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapo Adhyayana Swadharma. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapo Adhyayana Swadharma. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Prayaha Param Purusha Te Tu Ajitendriyana. Prayah Param Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta Bhavanti Uta Na Vatra Tu Dambhikana. Varta bhavantyutana vatra tudambhikana. Mauna vrata shruta tapodhyayana swadharma. Vyakhya raho japa samadhaya apavargya. Prayah Param Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta Bhavantyutana Vatra Tudambhikana. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapodhyayana Swadharma. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Prayah Parama Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta Bhavantyutana Vatra Tudambhikana. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapodhyayana Swadharma. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Prayah Parama Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta Bhavantyutana Vatra Tudambhikana. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapodhyayana Swadharma. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Parama Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta Bhavantyutana Vatra Tudambhikana. Mauna Vrata Shruta Tapodhyayana Swadharma. Vyakhya Raho Japa Samadhaya Apavargya. Prayah Parama Purushate Tvajitendriyana. Varta bhavantyutanavatra tudambhikan. Mauna, silence. Vrata, vows. Shruta, Vedic knowledge. Tapaha, austerity. Adhyayana, study of scripture. Swadharma, executing varnashrama dharma. Vyakhya, explaining the shastras. Rahaha, living in a solitary place. Japa, chanting or reciting mantras. Samadhayaha, remaining in trance. Apavargyaha, these are 10 types of activities for advancing on the path of liberation. Prayaha, generally. Param, the only means. Purusha, O my Lord. Te, all of them. Tu, but. Ajita indriyana, of persons who cannot control the senses. Vartaha, means of living. Bhavanti, are. Uta, so it is said. Na, not. Va, or. Atra, in this connection. Tu, but. Dambhikanam, of persons who are falsely proud. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path to liberation. To remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashrama Dharma, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses. Because such persons are falsely proud, these procedures may not be successful. Please repeat. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path to liberation. To remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashrama Dharma, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently, and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses, because such persons are falsely proud. These procedures may not be successful. Purport. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti karsnena niharam eva bhaskaraha. Only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service. Just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays, the real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. Such liberation may be achieved by many methods. Tapasa brahmacharyena shamena cha damena cha. But all of them more or less depend on tapasya, austerity, which begins with celibacy. Shukdev Goswami says that those who are Vasudev Parayana, who have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vasudev, Krishna, automatically achieve the results of mauna, silence, vrata, vows, and other such methods simply by discharging devotional service. In other words, these methods are not so powerful. If one takes to devotional service, all of them are very easily performed. Mauna, for example, does not mean that one should just stop speaking. The tongue is meant for speaking, although sometimes to make a big show, a person remains silent. There are many who observe silence some day in a week. Vaishnavas, however, do not observe such silence. Silence means not speaking foolishly. Speakers at assemblies, conferences, and meetings generally speak foolishly like toads. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as Vacho Vegam. One who wants to say something can show himself to be a big orator, but rather than go on speaking nonsense, better to remain silent. This method of silence, therefore, is recommended for persons very attached to speaking nonsense. One who is not a devotee must speak nonsensically because he does not have the power to speak about the glories of Krishna. Thus, whatever he says is influenced by the illusory energy and is compared to the croaking of a frog. One who speaks about the glories of the Lord, however, has no need to be silent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends Kirtaniya Sada Harihi. One should go on chanting the glories of the Lord 24 hours a day. There is no question of becoming mauna or silent. The 10 processes for liberation or improvement on the path of liberation are not meant for the devotees. Kevalaya Bhaktya. If one simply engages in devotional service to the Lord, all 10 methods of liberation are automatically observed. Prahlāda Mahārāja's proposal is that such processes may be recommended for the Ajitendriya, those who cannot conquer their senses. Devotees, however, have already conquered their senses. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. A devotee is already freed from material contamination. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore said, Dusht mana tumi kisera Vaishnava, pratisthar tare nirjanera ghare, tava harinam keval kaitava. There are many who like to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a silent, solitary place. But if one is not interested in preaching, talking constantly to the non-devotees, the influence of the modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Therefore, unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, who had no other business than chanting the holy name always, 24 hours a day. Prahlāda Mahārāja does not condemn such a process, he accepts it. But without active service to the Lord, simply by such methods, one generally cannot attain liberation. One cannot attain liberation simply by a false pride. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So one boy was asking, new boy who came for sessions first time. We were discussing Bhagavad Gita. And he asked, which is natural inquiry of any sane person. If anybody sees a system, a design, he naturally wants to know what is the purpose of this system, why this is in place. If you see a line somewhere, we ask why people are lined up. Because usually, system does not come by chance. There is a purpose. There is randomness. So why people are standing in a queue, then we will tell for this reason. Something is getting distributed free of cost. So they are standing. So anyway, so he asked, so what is the purpose of life as per Bhagavad Gita? So any design if we see, naturally there has to be a purpose. And when we fulfill the purpose, we'll be happy. But unfortunately, there is wrong propaganda. The propaganda is that there is no purpose. By chance, the chemicals have combined together and there came some microorganisms. They developed in course of time. Thus came animals, aquatic animals, and then finally human beings. So one devotee was sharing when he was small. So children are very inquisitive. So he asked his mother, so my dear mother, from where have I come in this world? So mother told, you come from my belly. So then he told, I was wondering, the belly is closed, how can I come out of belly? Common sense. So yeah, how can I come out of belly if I was inside? So then mother told, no, we went to doctor. Then doctor cut open the belly. Then you were taken out. And then he stitched it back. So makes sense, okay, understood. And the doctor can cut the belly and then I was taken out. But then he asked, how did I enter the belly? Came out is okay. How did I go inside? So then mother gave another logic. So we went to doctor. Doctor gave an injection. In this way you came inside through injection. Okay, yes, something went inside. And then through injection I was sent inside. Then I came out. Okay. So in this way we take birth. So the child understood. So in this way I have come out through injection of doctor. I entered the womb of mother and then I am out. So this is called propaganda. So he believed because he thinks mother is more knowledgeable than me. He thinks whatever mother is speaking or father is speaking, that is absolute truth. So similarly, yes, we cannot manufacture television, radio. Some people who can do that, I think that they are speaking absolute truth. Whatever they speak, that is perfect. So people believe, and especially if such education is given from a very early age, children are naturally receptive. Whatever is being taught, they don't object. So thus, from the very young age, this propaganda is happening that human beings have come from monkeys, from aquatics, and they are believing because children. So propaganda, just like the child is believing, I have come from injection. Here child is believing, we have come from apes. So this is the understanding. Gradual chemical combination. So they don't ask. Because if this theory is not there, natural understanding is there has to be a creator. Why he has created, what is the purpose? But anyway, whatever it is, either a person is able to understand the creator or not able to understand the creator. But this is also common sense. Prabhupada writes here. The purpose of human form of life, the real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. This is very easy to understand. If we approach anybody, what are you doing in Krishna consciousness? We have to tell him the same thing what you are also trying to do. What are you trying to do actually? Nothing but try to attain liberation. Everyone is hankering for liberation only. But people try to attain liberation in their own ways. The karmis, they try to attain liberation by working hard. So karmi thinks if I work very hard, just like one CEO, he is spending so many millions of dollars so that he does not grow old. So ultimately there is old age. He is conditioned to getting old. So thus he is working very hard, earning a lot of money, putting that money in the research work. So many doctors are there and they are trying to keep him young. And then he's telling, I'm reversing my age. So in this way, he is working very hard, just trying to overcome. Or people undergo various various procedures. They try to look young. They don't want to grow old. So old age is imposed upon them, but they want liberation from the old age. Death is imposed upon them. Thus, the richest person of the world, he is trying to invest in something which can make him deathless. So they also want liberation. They don't want to get old. They don't want to get diseased. Why in our college, the students are sleeping at all times, waking up at odd times, doing all odd activities? They want liberation. They don't want to get conditioned. So thus every living, women's liberation, great movement is there. So but if you sit and analyze, what is this women liberation? Earlier there was one boss, husband. Now I have to follow two bosses. Husband is home, another boss at work. So earlier in house, I was roaming around very freely. Now I'm sitting in front of chair, in front of computer. Such an amazing liberation you have given. I cannot move also. Earlier husband was exploiting. Husband anyway has not stopped exploiting. Now boss is also exploiting. Very wonderful liberation. Now you have given me two husbands. And both are exploiting me very badly. At least one loves me. He exploits without any love. So this is called liberation. So anyway, so we are all looking for liberation. So karmis try to experience liberation in such foolish ways. But they don't understand. They get entangled more in the material complexities. So as we can see, nobody has become free by this kind of mentality. Working hard to become free. People have become more and more entangled. More and more they are crushed by the wheel of time. More and more they are losing their independence. So some people who are wise, they understand, no, working for some results in the life, fruitive actions, that is getting me more entangled. So I should not do this. So then they take to this process. And what is that process? The process of Gyan, cultivating knowledge. Tapasa brahmacharyena shamena damena cha. So those people who are intelligent, who cultivate knowledge, who are able to analyze, what am I doing this thing? I am getting more and more entangled, more and more frustrated. I should work hard just to become more frustrated in life. Is this called life? Then they understand, no, I am going on a reverse path. My stress, anxiety, everything is increasing. So I should trace my steps backwards. So then they not try to increase the material enjoyment to get liberated. They try to nullify, they try to reduce the material enjoyment. And then they understand that this will bring me liberation. And thus they take to this process which Prahlāda Mahārāja is describing here. Mauna vrata shruta tapo adhyayana swadharma. Mauna. So people are fond of talking a lot. They give various speeches. So Prabhupada is telling United Nations. That time Prabhupada spoke for 30 years. Now it is more than 70, 80 years. They are giving various talks. And what is the result of this talk? There is greater fight between the nations. There are new flags come, new nations coming up. So the fight has increased. This is the result of their talking. And then he told Krishna consciousness movement, we spoke just for 5 or 6 years. And then you see all the people from different nations, you are living together here in Indian village. You don't ask from which community you are, from which caste you are, what is your social status, what is your economic background, what is your degree, what have you done before? No. Despite, and this is very difficult in the society, we are trying to achieve equality, but where is equality? There is no equality. Always there is exploitation, always there is suppression, always there is comparison. In our society, there is no comparison, there is no exploitation. A person who is passed out from the Ivy League colleges will be listening, obeying the instructions of a person who is not even finished his education, who can be materially very less educated, could be from very impoverished background. We are sitting together on the floor, eating together on the floor. So Prabhupada tells this is called United Nations. All the nations are living in a united way. So thus a person understands that talking is not going to help me. Talking is simply increasing my problems. And this happens in materialists are also realizing. So I was asking a devotee. So he picked up Krishna consciousness. So I was trying to understand family background. So your family is also religious? He told, yes, very religious. So your father and mother also do some puja? Yes, both of them they do puja. But at separate times. So father, mother both chant, both read Ramayana. but at separate times. They don't talk to each other. So they are also observing Mona. Earlier they were talking a lot. They thought, oh, this is love, I love you, you love me. They spoke a lot. And now they are silent for many years. Living in the same house, but not talking to each other. So then the materialists, they understand talking is not going to help. So they remain silent, Mona. So thus many sages you will find. For years they have not spoken. For many people, they don't speak for one day in a week. So this is followed by many people, silent. And this is good for sense control. And then they take various vows. I will not leave this place. I will not eat this food. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. He had a vow. I will never eat ever mangoes in my life. Because he offered once a mango which is not given to Krishna. So just see what are the spiritual standards which are expected from us. Acharyas have said by their own example. So once I ate mango which was not offered to Krishna, this is a big offense. I will never eat mango in my entire life. This is the vow he had. So many people have such vows. Then Shruta, hearing the Vedic literatures, Tapo, doing austerities, voluntarily accepting discomforts in life. Voluntarily, even though it is very cold, I will take bath deliberately in cold water. This helps in purification of consciousness. Even though it is very hot, I will go out and sit in the sun, and I also ignite fire around me. This is called tapasya. Then Adhyayana, studying the Vedas. Swadharma, following one's own Varnashrama dharma. Dharma is not easy. So many rules and regulations are there. Just like Brahman, he is supposed to be non-violent. So it is very tough. The Tarka demoness, she was coming and disturbing all the sages. But they went to Lord Ramchandra. And Dashrath Maharaj, please send Ramchandra and Lakshman to save us. He could have killed, but then there is vow. They have to tolerate. They cannot kill. They have to be non-violent, ahimsa. Then you have to be truthful. You can never tell a lie. Similarly, Kshatriya has to be charitable. Whatever a person asks, he has to give. He cannot deny. And whenever somebody challenges you to fight, you have to go and fight. Even though loss of life is certain. You know that I will die if I fight with this person, but there's the dharma of Kshatriya. If anybody challenges you to fight, you cannot deny. So it is not easy to follow dharma. But then if one wants liberation, dharma has to be followed. So nowadays, we don't have any dharma fixed for us. Let me follow whatever I feel is good for me. This does not lead to. So one should be very strictly following one's dharma. Yes, Varnashrama dharma one may not follow if one is understanding I am servant of Krishna, but then the instructions of spiritual master should be very strictly followed. That is called paradharma. So Swadharma they follow. Then Vyakhya, explaining the Vedic knowledge. This also helps one when we explain to others. Thus Prabhupada tells, hearing and explaining is more important than reading. Because by hearing and explaining, one understands the Vedic literatures. So Prabhupada has mentioned in the beginning of Bhagavatam itself that it is very important to, Prabhupada is telling, more important than reading is hearing and explaining. Hearing and explaining. Thus Prabhupada would always tell his disciples that you should write every day. So writing is very important. Never mind 2 lines, 4 lines, but you write every day. Unless you write, how can you preach? The disciples started a center. They were always starting centers. The first thing they would do is translate the books of Prabhupada. Spreading knowledge is the main mission, Prabhupada told. Temples may come, may not come. You spread this knowledge. So somebody went to Europe, publishing literatures in French and German. So Prabhupada told, yes, you are doing very nice work by translating my literatures. So in this way, if you translate my books, my magazines, and then you write articles on your own also, you will be successful. So why? What is the need of a new person who is hardly a few years in the movement to write any articles? What is the comparison of his articles and articles written by Paramhans, Mahabhagavat, Prabhupada, who has come from spiritual world? But Prabhupada told, no, you translate my books as well as if you write articles of your own, you will be successful. So this writing is so important because Prabhupada told, unless you write, how can you preach? We are meant to preach this knowledge to others. But unless a person writes, he cannot preach. It is not possible. Prabhupada told writing is very important for your purification. Writing is smaranam. Shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam. So if you chant very nicely, you hear very nicely, automatically the result would be smaranam. And Prabhupada told writing is smaranam. You have to contemplate what I have heard from my spiritual master, and then you have to write. So thus Prabhupada told that all of my disciples should write every day. And in temples, the devotees instituted this system where everyone was writing. So it is very, very important, Prabhupada told. Unless somebody writes, one cannot preach. It is not possible. So Prabhupada tells when you write, you are able to realize a subject matter. So writing and explaining that. So hearing and explaining. To explain, you need to hear nicely, Prabhupada tells. You need to read my book scrutinizingly. And then if you write, you will be able to explain. So in this way, one will be able to realize the subject matter. Thus Prabhupada tells, I am hearing for millions of years, but I do not realize why. Because you are not preaching. So unless we explain it to others, we will not be able to realize the subject matter. So that is why very clearly it is mentioned, Vyakhya. They would explain the Vedic literatures to others. So Vyakhya is very important for liberation. And then Raho, Rahaha means living in a solitary place. So as we understand that even though everybody is convinced that this is a movie going on, but people start crying in the movie theaters. Yes or no? Yes. Why? They completely understand it is a movie. There are no people, just I'm seeing some figures on the screen. If you see a drama, then too, you see some person crying. Here you're seeing some light show on the screen. But that light show is making you cry. It's giving rise to various emotions in the heart. Why? Because this body is so designed. The body is so designed that it is not able to understand. It gets absorbed. It feels it is reality. So if you watch a movie, you get carried away by the emotions, even though you are thoroughly convinced it is illusion. And in this world, when we are not so convinced it is illusion, if we live and watch this movie carefully, we are bound to get carried away in the illusion. So thus it is told, Rahaha, remain separate, remain alone, do not mix with people. So thus it is very important that we maintain distance. Thus when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was living in Jagannath Puri, so all the devotees from all across, Mayapur where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took birth, all his devotees, his relatives, neighbors, they were pure devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They would come and meet. And then they would stay there after a Yatra festival, and then they would return after some months. So when they were coming back, one devotee asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, please, we are householders, please tell us how I can advance in my spiritual life. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, always chant Hare Krishna mantra and serve the Vaishnavas. So then he asked, how do I understand who is a Vaishnava? So it is important to serve Vaishnava to advance in spiritual life. But how do I understand that who is a Vaishnava, how to serve Vaishnava? If I see somebody wearing tilak, he is a Vaishnava. If I see somebody wearing kanti, he is a Vaishnava. No, anybody can wear. And Prabhupada tells, his spiritual master told, he could be Kali Chela. He could be disciple of Kali, but he is wearing kanti and tilak. He might not be following any rules and regulations. So simply by external features, anybody can wear dhoti, kurta, tilak. So one does not become Vaishnava like that. So how do I understand who is a Vaishnava? Anybody can claim to be a great orator. They can memorize all the verses. That anybody can do. Anybody can memorize. You give a child a book to memorize. They are very expert. They will narrate. They will give purports also. Has he become a parrot also can memorize? So who is a Vaishnava actually? So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, how can you actually identify a Vaishnava? Vaishnava means Asat Sang Tyagat Ei Vaishnav Achar. Asat means, Sat means truth, Asat means illusion. So the materialists, they are part of illusion. Asat Sang Tyagat Ei Vaishnav Achar. Vaishnava means, so you have to understand from behavior, just like it is told, the one jackal, he was wearing the skin of a tiger and he started roaming like a tiger. Not jackal, it was a wolf. Yes, wolf. And then as soon as the wolf sees bright moon, immediately starts howling. So as soon as there was moonrise, he started howling. Then everybody understood he is not wolf, he is not tiger, he is a wolf. So one has to understand by behavior. One can wear the skin of a Vaishnava, dress of a Vaishnava. What is the behavior of Vaishnava? Who is a devotee? And I can understand, am I advancing as a Vaishnava or not? How much Vaishnava I have become? Asat Sanga Tyagat Ei Vaishnav Achar. Vaishnava cannot remain with the asat, with the materialists. He will be very, very uncomfortable living with the materialists. So when I become very, very uncomfortable, just like materialists become very uncomfortable in the company of devotees. Oh, these people always are chanting Hare Krishna. So somebody in West, the public transport in US is not so good. You have to hire a car and go. So they're telling I have to travel to this place. What do I do? You have to do hitchhiking. So can I travel with Hare Krishnas? Well, you can do, but they are always singing 24 hours. Hare Krishna. So karmis get disturbed. They cannot bear this constant chanting of Hare Krishna. Similarly, devotee cannot tolerate the talks of materialists. So thus I can understand how much I am advancing in my spiritual life. It depends on, just like Manish was telling how do you take lunch? To Prabhu, I take on my own, alone. So once I sat with my colleagues and they are talking all these mundane things. So I got fed up. So one will be uncomfortable. That means, yes, I am advancing. If I also start talking with them, oh, this happened in the country, oh, that is happening. That means I am still on the same platform. Asa Sanga Tyagat Ei Vaishnavachar. So Vaishnava will be very, very uncomfortable in the company of materialists. This is how I can understand. If I am still happy living around surrounded by materialists, that means I am also materialist. So Prabhupada tells, just like people cannot, they become impatient without cigarette. Similarly, when you become very, very distressed, when you hanker greatly for the company of the devotees, Vaishnavas, then you should understand that you are liberated. This is how you can test your liberation. When you become very, very anxious without the company of Vaishnavas, then you understand you are liberated. So we should be so much hankering for the company of Vaishnavas. So anyway, one may not be advanced to the level of the Vaishnavas, but if a person is in knowledge, advancing on the path of liberation, rahaha, he will not be willing to mix with the materialists. So if we live, it is very, very dangerous. Just by watching a movie, we get carried away. We'll get into this turmoil of material emotions and all other things. We will start thinking, I am this body. People connected to the body, they belong to me. And I'll get carried away by the illusion. So rahaha, maintaining isolation is important for a person. And then japa, obviously chanting the holy names. Samadhaya. And then remaining in trance. So person who advances on the path of knowledge, he starts meditating. And thus he reaches a stage of meditative trance. Trance means person is completely unaware of what is happening around, completely absorbed inside. So these are the 10 processes for advancing towards liberation. But here Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling very important point. So we should not get carried away. We'll find some people somewhere, some institutions where people are following this process. You'll find people who have not spoken for years together. For last 7 years, they are not speaking. You'll find people who have taken very, very strong vows, who maintain strict austerity, who are living atop the Himalayas. In chilly cold, we cannot even go there and stay, but they are staying there on top for many, many years. And like this, many people will find amazing vyakhya they are doing, explaining the Vedic literatures. But then Prahlāda Mahārāja tells, Samadhi, somebody could be in Samadhi also. Prabhupada tells, there are people. When there is Kumbh Mela, you will find person who is 400 years old, 700 years old. They will come down to take bath. But they will look like a young boy, 20, 25 years. This is the power of yoga. So Prabhupada tells, ordinarily destiny cannot be changed. How much ever a karmi can work hard, he cannot change destiny, but yogi can change destiny. He will not die. He will have a very, very long life by this yogic process. So by the process of yoga, you can even decide when you will die, where you will take birth in next life, who will be your parents, you can decide. So yogi gets so much of freedom. But working in a karmi way, materialistic way, we cannot do that. But even such a person who is situated in samadhi, here it is told, this process is meant for whom? So one should not get carried away. People get carried away. Oh, 7 years he was there within the earth, in a cavity. And now he's talking again. You can find some people, such people. But then this process is not meant for very, very advanced spiritualists. Prahlāda Mahārāja clearly tells, who was extremely advanced, most advanced. Even the gross changes of matter were not affecting him. The greatest power of universe, Hiranyakashipu, was not able to do anything at that time in front of Prahlāda Mahārāja. He's telling Prahlāda Mahārāja that this process is meant for whom? Apavargya. We want apavarga, we want liberation. But praya param purushatetu ajitendriyanam. Ajita means not conquering. Indriyanam, senses. Those who cannot conquer, control their senses, for them such processes are recommended. If the senses are not controlled, you cannot control your tongue, you will speak nonsense, then you remain silent, do not speak. You will walk for sense gratification. You will walk for cinema house, or you will walk for earning some money, or you will walk towards the people whom you identify as your family. You are in illusion. This is my family. This is my society. These are the enemies. So if you have this discrimination, then don't walk. Then remain standing at one place. So just like teacher punishes the children, stand up. Stand up on bench. Keep standing. And then more punishment. Raise your hands also. Or Murgasan. So these different asanas, postures are given to the people, the students who are very, very naughty. Don't talk. Pin drop silence. Pin drop silence is meant for students who are very, very naughty, who are talking nonsense. But one who has memorized the books very nicely, they are told, you please come forward, explain the answer to others, explain to entire class. He will not be told to stand at one place. Murgasan is not required. Sit comfortably. So that's when the students are naughty, such things are given. Those who cannot control the senses. Similarly, from ordinary perspective, it may appear, oh, very nice. Very nice process. But this process is meant for ajitendriyanam. This is called Bhagavatam, Amal Puranam, Saram Samudritam. The essence of all the Vedic literatures, it is given in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam tells those processes for which we have a lot of value. Oh, these people are sitting for 700 years, 7,000 years, they are not aging in Samadhi. They know all the Vedic literatures. These are meant for Ajitendriyanam. It is very clear, very simple. Those who live in forest eating fruits and roots, these are meant for Ajitendriyanam. Praya, generally. There are people like Haridas Thakur, Prabhupada writes, who are liberated, does not matter. They can live in cities, in New York City, or they could live in jungle. It does not matter. But that is why it is mentioned prayaha. Generally these processes are meant for those people who are ajitendriyanam, who cannot control their senses. Otherwise, for those who can control the senses, what is the process for them? That Shukdev Goswami explained. Shukdev Goswami explained this in 6th canto when he heard, oh, what is the danger? How people can be saved from going to hell. Atonement was rejected. Then process of Gyan. All this process, tapasa brahmacharyena, this was recommended. And anyway, first of all, it is for ajitendriyana. Second thing, it is very, very difficult. Even this process to follow person has to be very advanced. As Prabhupada explains, all these processes, the foundation, if you want to understand Vedas, you want to explain Vedas, you want to live in secluded in mountains, it is great austerity. So lot of tapasya is required, and tapasya begins with brahmacharya. Unless somebody follows brahmacharya, one cannot do any tapasya. He cannot be determined in life. This is the secret, Prabhupada tells. And all these things need lot of determination. I will never eat mango in my life. Is it easy? Not easy. I will never marry in my life. Is it easy? Not easy. So one has to be brahmachari in order to execute anything with determination. So all these processes, Prabhupada tells, they are based on tapasya. And first tapasya is brahmacharya. Who can follow brahmacharya now? And what to speak of these difficult processes. So first of all, they are meant for the people who are not so advanced, and in Kali Yuga, we cannot follow even these processes. So that is why then Shukdev Goswami recommended that these processes are not so powerful. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudev parayana agam dhunvanti karsnena. Kechit. Kechit means some very rare people. Prayaha, almost all the people who want liberation, they take to this process. But some very rare people, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya. So Parikshit Maharaj was not satisfied. He told this process also, yes, it makes me freed from the sinful reactions of the past, but it does not burn away the sinful desires in my heart. You might not have eaten. You can fast on Ekadashi, but next day I jump upon the sweet. The desire to eat has not gone. Although by determination I am controlling my tongue somehow. So thus the desire to enjoy, the desire to commit sinful acts does not go from the heart by following all these processes. So then Shukdev Goswami told, you are intelligent. So some people, some very rare people, Kechit, Kevalaya Bhaktya, they take to unalloyed devotional service. Vasudev Parayan, Narayan Parayan, they take to pure devotional service to Krishna. And then what happens by this? Agam Dhunvanti Karsnena, Niharamyo, just like Bhaskar, sun rises in the morning. By the first rays of the sun, fog is completely dissipated. In a similar fashion, a person gets liberated simply by the glimpse of devotional service of Krishna. Simply the glimpse is sufficient to liberate a person. So thus we can make a person understand, a materialist, you are also seeking liberation. So same process we are also telling, but you understand this is not the way, you are getting more and more entangled. 10 hours you are sitting in a chair. Your hands are not coming off your keypad of computer. You think this is liberation? Every day, day after day, every year you will be doing the same thing, pressing some keys, sitting in front of a screen. You think this is liberation? What kind of liberation this is? So liberation is in the life of a devotee. So thus we can understand in this way, the entire Bhagavatam, entire spiritual life is common sense. The materialists are also looking for the same thing. But we can preach them with common sense things. See, this is what we have. Devotee is satisfied in every circumstances. Whatever he gets to eat, he is pleased. Wherever he wishes to live, he is happy. He can live in village, he can live in forest, he can live in cities. Devotee is completely satisfied. He can live with his family members, he can live away from family members. For a devotee, entire world is family. He is always pleased. So thus, we can understand devotee is actually advancing on the path of liberation. He is happy in any circumstances. But then how do we attain this is very important. Thus Prabhupada is quoting verse after verse, the same thing. Prabhupada quotes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Dushta mana tumi kiser Vaishnava pratisthara tare nirjanera ghare tav harinam kevala kaitava. So this contamination of the process of a Gyan Yogi can come in our life also. Dushtamana tumi kiser Vaishnava. So thus Prahlāda Mahārāja is telling why these people are not able to attain liberation even by following this 10 process. Dambhikanam. Dambhikana means they get pride in their heart. And a person who is proud can never attain liberation. So if I chant Hare Krishna mantra so that I can get initiation and then I am proud, I am initiated devotee. I am second initiated, I am initiated, or I have taken this level of ashray. I am senior. I read Bhagavatam very nicely so that I can tell others I finished Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if I become proud in this way, it will not lead us to perfection. So I am doing Nirjala Ekadashi. Every Ekadashi is Nirjal. So such things can give rise to pride in the heart. So thus we also can come under this illusion. Thus Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj told, Mana tumi kisir Vaishnava. There are many who like to chant Hare Krishna mantra in a silent, solitary place. So I have not missed any morning program. Every day in the morning I am coming very nicely. Every evening I am doing this program. I am very, very strong in my chanting, my this thing. But Prabhupada is writing, if one is not interested in preaching, many people ask that, Prabhu, I want to follow Krishna consciousness. But then the force of nature is so strong, I am not able to follow. So Prabhupada is writing, yes, influence of modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. There are many who like to chant Hare Krishna mantra in a silent, solitary place. So I can chant silently in a place Hare Krishna mantra, but if one is not interested in preaching, constantly talking constantly to non-devotees, the influence of modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. So Prabhupada has clearly given the verdict. If one is not interested in preaching, the influence of modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Therefore, unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur. So Prabhupada is telling Prahlāda Mahārāja is not condemning this process, but without active service to the Lord, simply by such methods, one generally cannot attain liberation. Generally, simply by chanting entire day, one cannot attain liberation. One needs to be engaged in active service. So this is the purport of this verse. So Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya, some very rare souls, they take to the process of Bhakti Yoga, engaging in the service of Krishna. And what is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti simply means satisfying the spiritual master. Otherwise, Dhambikana. I have taken initiation and I am getting proud. I am doing my chanting, my rounds very nicely. I am chanting 30 rounds and I am getting proud. I am chanting so many rounds in a day, but am I preaching? No. And what to speak of this? People don't even take the vow seriously. Yes, I am taking initiation, but then I am eating in restaurant. Every weekend I need to eat bhoga. I am seeing smartphone. I am chanting Hare Krishna also in one hand. So then Dhambikanam, simply such pride will not help us. But even though we are following the rules and regulations very, very strictly, still one needs active service. And what is that active service? Prabhupada is expressing here. So initiation means Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kuru Nandana Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Karya Ekya Arana Kari Humane Asha. The spiritual master's instruction should be taken as life and soul. Prabhupada tells real initiation. I met my spiritual master in 1922. And then I got initiated, formally initiated in 1933. Gap of 11 years. But all these years I was always thinking of my spiritual master. So thus Prabhupada told I was actually initiated. Because I was always thinking of my spiritual master. So real initiation means when a person is always thinking about one spiritual master and always thinking how to fulfill the instructions, the mission of the spiritual master. So thus I can check for myself, am I initiated or not? When we are always thinking of spiritual master and not just thinking about instructions, Prabhupada tells, actually trying to carry out the orders, the instructions of spiritual master. That means one is initiated. So thus Prabhupada told, I got initiated in 1922 itself. Because I was always thinking of my spiritual master. So thus I should not take to this process simply because of some pride that I am following this process. But I should actually see that I am trying to always, and Prabhupada has clearly expressed what is Prabhupada's desire, nothing but we should preach. Thus Prabhupada has clearly mentioned, if one is not interested in preaching, the influence of modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. So our process is very simple. That we preach. And by preaching, thus when the devotees were having difficulty in following the brahmacharya, that is one main difficulty in our life. So other things, other rules and regulations are easy to be followed, but brahmacharya, it takes some struggle. So thus Prabhupada told them, he was explaining control of senses and some grastas were standing next to him. So Prabhupada explained that, but senses will bite. So one who can follow this brahmacharya, Prabhupada was explaining brahmachari life. It is so easy, so nice. Very easily you can go back to Godhead. But senses will bite. Senses disturb, they bite. But then Prabhupada told, if you preach and you pray to Krishna, Krishna can give you relief from this biting of senses. So Prabhupada told two things. If you preach and you pray to Krishna. So thus preaching is very important. Our prayers will not be useful unless Krishna is pleased with us. So thus the process of Bhakti Yoga is spiritual master and Krishna should be pleased with us. इनको उठा दीजिए. So there was a class happening and Hansdut Maharaj was hearing, and other devotees were sitting in the class. And then Prabhupada was speaking very strongly that we have to control sleep, because he noticed that many devotees were dozing off in the class. They were not. So Prabhupada told, sleep means no serious business. Those people, even materialists who have got very serious business in their life, they don't sleep. Napoleon was sleeping when he was going from one warfield to another. Mahatma Gandhi also was sleeping very less. Subhash Chandra Bose also was sleeping very less. So anybody who's got serious business, he will sleep like this, he spoke. So he gave very strong class, and Hansdut Maharaj, he came. Of course, in this class, nobody could sleep when Prabhupada was talking like this. So other time, then Hansdut Maharaj came and told, Prabhupada, it was very nice class. Such an amazing class you gave. So Prabhupada told, you think like that? What do others think? So Prabhupada, Hansdut Maharaj told, frankly speaking, Prabhupada, most of them were sleeping. They were dozing off in the class. So Prabhupada told, yes, practically I am talking, I am speaking only for few sincere disciples who are hearing. So thus, hearing is very, very important, Prabhupada tells. So it gives me a lot of pain if I am giving class and you are sleeping. So thus, we should try somehow that, because hearing is the only process. So if we see somebody is consistently dozing in the class, we can understand that our consciousness is going to go down in course of time. So thus we should try somehow that we don't sleep in the class. It is very, very important. Hearing is the only process. So thus Prabhupada even told, sleep 10 hours, 12 hours, but don't sleep in the class. So I understand we are all working very hard, so not to criticize anybody, but we should try. So it is okay. When a child is learning to walk, he may fall down. So we also, when we feel tired, then we stand in the ashram, stand and hear the class. Or we wash our face and then we hear. But then being very attentive, because hearing is the only thing. That is why we hear after entire morning program, so that we are spiritually surcharged. So if we try to adjust our day in such a manner, our activities in such a way that we are very, very attentive while hearing. Hearing is the only thing. By this we will advance in our life, spiritual life. Yes. So thus, Prabhupada has explained here, if one is not interested in preaching, influence of modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. So one should always try to, and of course for preaching, we have to first of all, Janma Sarthak Kari Kar Paropkar. We have to make our life successful, our life perfect. Prabhupada told, first make your life perfect and then you preach. And what is the perfection of life? There is no limit to perfection in spiritual life, but Prabhupada tells, as soon as you surrender completely to Krishna, your life becomes perfect. So if we surrender, then our preaching will be very, very effective. So anyway, we are surrendered. Now we are surrendered to our mind and senses. They are putting us so much, giving us so much trouble. So if we surrender to spiritual master and Krishna, we will be liberated. If you are surrendered with determination, I will follow completely all the rules and regulations, without exception. Then Prabhupada tells, very easily we are apavargya, we are liberated. Pavarga means parishram, fena, bandhan, bhay, mrityu. We are free from parishram, free from hard work. Everyone wants to escape hard work in this material world. That is called apavargya, first step of liberation. Prabhupada tells, as soon as you take shelter of Devim Prakriti Mashritaha, you take shelter of spiritual energy, you are liberated. And who can take shelter of spiritual energy? Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita verses. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashritaha bhajante mam dridhavritaha. As soon as you follow the rules and regulations with great determination, you will notice there is no more hard work left in your life. You will be freed from this hard work. So if you want to get freedom from this hard work, from this torture of material world, we have to follow dridhavritaha, with great determination, surrender to spiritual master, surrender to Krishna. Follow all the rules, regulations without any exception. And then we are free. So we surrender completely, our life is perfect, and then we preach, and then we will be able to surpass the modes of nature. So with this we will end. Any questions? Yes.
So, we are trying to visit ourselves. We can see that when we following the rule and regulation. The central tendency of working hard, like and at the same time, we are also feeling the tendency to work hard. So, hard work tendency should.
Okay, so the question is that we want to get out of hard work liberation. But in course of our spiritual activities, we feel the tendency of working hard for Krishna is increasing. So how do we understand? So yes, so that is not hard work. That is actually liberation. The tendency to work very hard for Krishna. So we enjoy it. Here the materialists, they get frustrated by working hard. Then they want cigarette, they want drink, they want sex life, they want to get relief from this hard work of the day. That is why Prabhupada tells in Mumbai, people are traveling in local trains. 2 hours they will go one side minimum, and then 2 hours coming back. 3 to 4 hours, everybody is traveling. In office, he is spending 10 hours, 12 hours every day. So one may wonder why he's coming back home. He can sleep in the office only. As soon as he gets up in the morning, again he has to go to office. And hardly is getting any time at home. So why he's taking the trouble of traveling? Getting stuffed like chickens in the local train every day. Why is traveling and coming back? Prabhupada tells, for this sex life at night. That's it. Simply for the sex life at night, he's coming back to his home. He cannot avoid. Because this hard work disturbs them. They want relief. They cannot keep on doing like this. So for relief, he's taking this trouble every day. So materialists, they get troubled by this hard work, and devotee wants to work even harder for Krishna. So thus this hard work is not actually hard work which gives trouble, it gives liberation. But of course, in the sadhak stage, that hard work also should be balanced. It is not that our preaching is getting compromised or sadhana is getting compromised. Then it is nice. Yes. Loudly. The question is, if anybody is following these 10 processes mentioned in this verse for liberation, is there any chance they may come to Krishna consciousness? Very rare chance. Very rare. That is why it is told, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. Thousands and thousands of people are there. Among them, some will strive to follow this process to attain perfection, liberation. Yatatam api siddhanam. And very few will be able to actually get liberated by following this process, because they get dambhikanam, they get proud because of this. Even by following this process, they cannot even become liberated. What to speak of becoming Krishna consciousness? Without any pride, if they follow this process, then there is a possibility with great hard work they can get liberated. But kaschit yatati siddhaye, and among all those siddhas also, kaschin veti mam tatpataha. Very rare person is able to come to Krishna consciousness after many, many births. So chances are very rare that by following this process, one can come to Krishna consciousness. So that is why association of pure devotee is the only process. So the question is, now we have understood that without preaching, that it is very difficult to surpass. Prabhupada has given the verdict, the effect of modes of nature. How to develop enthusiasm for preaching. So thus Prabhupada told, enthusiasm is very important. Enthusiasm is engine. Either for material life, materially also one has to be enthusiastic. Either to do good business or success, you need to do that. Same enthusiasm is required for preaching. How to do that? How to get it? So Prabhupada says it comes by chanting Hare Krishna mantra very nicely. So if you follow our sadhana very nicely, the result of sadhana will be automatically, if Shravanam has happened nicely, Kirtanam is natural, it will happen. Nobody has to force. If I have heard nicely, there will be force from inside to speak to others. So thus simply we have to hear very, very nicely. Hare Krishna mantra, Bhagavatam, read the books very carefully. Automatically one will be forced to preach. One will get impetus. So simply we have to work on this Ashramanam very nicely. Online.
Prabhu, Krishna will know all our desires. In due course of time, he will fulfill. But many desires are updated. Just like in my childhood, many different desires. Like I want to become police or star by Srimad. But now I have another desire, become a software engineer.
Yes.
So question is, will Krishna fulfill all desire or will he take the updated way?
So you will take updated version. And past desires also what we have. So ultimately Krishna is there in the heart. So it is not that so live he is recording. What do you want in life? So what we want, that Krishna will. And of course, because past desires have been very, very strong. So Krishna tests whether you want or not. So even though our live desire could be of becoming devotee, and yes, Krishna will give chance for this. Krishna always sanctions. But Krishna will test that in the past you desired that thing. Now you are wanting this devotee. Now if I give you devotional service, tomorrow you will tell again, I want to become software engineer. So thus, even though yes, Krishna takes care of live desires, what I want now. So thus Prabhupada tells there is no destiny. Whatever I have desired in the past, it does not matter. In order to go back to Godhead, one simply has to desire. One simply has to desire, do nothing else. Live desire. Now you decide. Prabhupada thus he writes, in any situation, any circumstances, one can become topmost devotee of the Lord simply by one's desire. That's it. So yes, Krishna is always checking our live desire. If I want to surrender to Krishna, Krishna in any circumstances, whatever could be our past desires, Krishna will take notice of it, give us chances. But then at the same time, Krishna will test us. Because we were having those desires in the past, Krishna will give us chance. And if we reject them, then Krishna will very smoothly help us advance on the path.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. How can we understand that we are advancing in spiritual life? How much I have become pure? How much I am pure to serve spiritual?
So same question has come in various formats. How do I understand I'm advancing in my spiritual life or not? So as we also discussed here, there are various symptoms. And Prabhupada, many times he quotes the standard verse, Tushti Pushti Shud Apayonu Ghasam. When we eat food, then we understand that there is no proof required because I get taste. As soon as you eat food, there is taste first of all. And then when you have eaten, there is nourishment, strength in the body, and your hunger is mitigated. In a similar fashion, when we advance in spiritual life, you get taste in the spiritual life and you are able to get strength. Material forces are not able to pull you so easily. The strength keeps on increasing. And then hunger is mitigated. Desire of material enjoyment, it gets mitigated. In this way, I can understand.
If a person is new to Krishna consciousness, and he wants to convince an Gnostic person to come for Bhagavad Gita session, to join Krishna consciousness, how he can do that?
So the question is, if a person is coming for Krishna conscious sessions, he wants to convince a Gnostic person, atheistic person. How to convince an atheistic person? So ordinarily we should not attempt. It is an offense to preach a person who is faithless. So he will argue, he will commit offenses, he will degrade in spiritual life, and we will also get degraded in our spiritual life. Because of us, he committed offenses. So thus we should not try to preach to the demoniac people who are hardcore atheists. Yes, some people are innocent. Some people call themselves atheists, but they are not atheists. They simply were not exposed. Such people, we can explain it to them. But some people are hardcore atheists. So maintain yourself. If he's high potential atheist, Prabhupada tells you also will become atheist. He will preach you instead of getting preached. So thus we should protect ourselves. There are many, many people who are simple, who are innocent. We should try to cultivate them and bring them.
What does spirituality mean?
Spirituality means knowledge of spirit. The question is, what is spirituality in simple words? So spirituality in simple words is understanding the spiritual subject matter and behaving accordingly. Materialism means thinking I am body. Satisfaction of body is my satisfaction. Spirituality means I am spirit soul. Spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Only when Krishna is satisfied, I will be satisfied. This is called spirituality, spiritual life.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is it that preaching means telling others to chant Hare Krishna and your life will be successful?
So the question is, what is preaching? Preaching means if I tell others to chant Hare Krishna, is it sufficient? Will it make my life successful? So one should preach to one's best capacity. So if I am telling somebody to chant Hare Krishna, that is also good. If I don't have much strength, much intelligence, much advancement, yes, I can simply tell people chant Hare Krishna. That is very good. Or other person is not having much intelligence. He cannot understand much. We can request, can you please chant Hare Krishna? You're talking so much, chanting so many names. Your friends, suppose your friend's name is Krishna. Will you not call him? So, what is the difficulty in chanting Krishna's name? So just make an experiment in your life. Request them. So this is the basic thing we can do. So if we are not qualified or other person is not qualified, this is the basic thing we can do, basic preaching. But preaching means trying to convince a person to surrender completely unto Krishna. This is real preaching, Prabhupada tells. Because unless a person completely surrenders unto Krishna, so what to speak of preaching to new people, even to devotees, even to ourselves we have to preach. I also have to surrender completely unto Krishna. Unless I surrender completely, my spiritual life has not even begun. I can be moving the beads every day. I can be attending my sadhana very, very strongly. But that is without surrender. Then my spiritual life has not started. 100% surrender. This is real preaching, Prabhupada tells. Prabhupada tells, I am criticizing anything which falls short of complete surrender to Krishna, because that is not going to satisfy the living entity. He will not even get liberation. What to speak of Krishna consciousness, which is very advanced platform. So thus we criticize everything, any kind of preaching. Even Hiranyakashipu was preaching to his mother when Hiranyaksha was killed, that please understand, there is no cause of crying for any person who is dead, because nobody is dead. We are spirit souls. We are not the body. So if we are preaching to others, we are not the body, we are spirit soul. Even demons have this knowledge. This knowledge is not going to satisfy other person. We have to preach, please surrender unto Krishna. Anyway, you have surrendered. You have surrendered to Darwin. You are thinking that we have come from apes. And what is the result? We are behaving like apes. Husband and wife, both are behaving like monkeys, biting each other, fighting with each other. We have come from apes, we are becoming apes again. Reverse evolution. So, sir, you have surrendered to Darwin, you have surrendered to Marx. What is the result? So now you try to surrender to Krishna. Anyway, we have to surrender. We are not so intelligent. We have to follow somebody's philosophy. We have to follow Dr. Ambedkar. We have to follow Mahatma Gandhi. We have to follow Churchill. We have to follow somebody. So we are requesting you, try to follow this one person, Krishna. And then you see, those people who are following, they are so happy in their life. So this is our preaching, that please try to surrender unto Krishna. Krishna has given some instructions how to lead our life. So we should try to follow that. If we cannot do this or other person cannot understand, we can tell them, please chant Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Rasta is entrapped because he has to strike balance in worldly duties and his spiritual activity. The progress remains slow.
Okay. So the question is, Grahastha is trapped because he has to strike a balance between taking care of family and other duties also. So that's what I was telling, that it is an illusion. So there is no difference between life of a Grahastha or life of a Brahmachari. Grahastha maybe has to take care of 1 or 2 children. Shisha Prabhu has to take care of 20 children, 30 children. So Prabhu has to arrange gas. Prabhu has to see kitchen. Prabhu has to take care of cooking. Prabhu has to take care of the house of the living. So everything has to be taken. Prabhu has to raise money, how to maintain. Prabhu has to take them out for trip. So everything, the situation is same. So we tell that, Prabhu, I do not have time to preach. I have to spend time with the family members. We have to also spend time with our family, Krishna conscious family. We have to take care of them that they are advancing nicely. So we also have same limitations. Touching new people, bringing them to Krishna consciousness, we have to strike the same balance. We also have family, rather greater family. We have to spend time with them also. And then we have to take a time for touching new people also. Encourage family members so that they also can contribute to preaching. Same is the situation. There is no difference. So thus, Grasta's life is no different. Brahmachari, Grasta, it is same in Krishna consciousness. So Grasta should not think that this is my family, this is not my family. One should be equipoised. Yes, these people, I have responsibility to take care of their physical demands and advance them in Krishna consciousness without taking extra anxiety. To whatever extent possible, I will do. If they are not understanding, I will preach to others, does not matter. So thus the situation is same. Any other question? Yeah.
Many people connected with HG get offended when devotees criticize others for talking nonsense. For example, Maya. They say, why do we criticize? Can we not take good from everything?
Very good. So the question is, sometimes the devotees of the Hare Krishna movement, they come very strongly and they criticize impersonalists. There are two classes of transcendentalists, those who aspire for liberation. One are the devotees, another class is that of impersonalists, who tell that I am not the body, I am spirit, soul, and there is just one consciousness everywhere. You and me, we are same. God does not have a form. There is nothing called going back to Godhead. And liberation, or even though God has a form, going and merging into that form. There are various variants of Mayavadi impersonalists. They preach this philosophy. So is this also not good? Ultimately, they are also preaching liberation. You merge in the body of Krishna, you get liberation, freedom from birth and death. Why do we criticize very badly? So we criticize very badly because the devotee realizes his position as being eternal servant of God, servant of Krishna. We are children of Krishna. After many, many lifetimes in human form of life, knowledge, opportunity was given of a child to go back to father. Father was waiting that when my child will become intelligent enough so that he recognizes our relationship and then he comes back to me. Now somebody comes and tells, your father does not exist. Your father is formless. Your father's form is illusion. Or you go and merge in the body of father. Father will be so angry. So my child wanted to come to me, and here this person is telling your father has got no form. No form means father does not exist. You say in that way. No forms means father is not there. He is not a person. There is some energy. You don't have any father. Or you and father are same. So like this, a person gives philosophy. Will father not become very angry? And a person who has gone on behalf of father, who is his family member, to bring the lost child back to father, will he not become very angry? Will he not feel the pain of father in his heart? That the child was going to come back after many, many lives. Krishna has been waiting for us for many, many lives. And now you deviate people that father does not exist, father does not have a form. Either you preach voidist philosophy, the world has come for no reason, and again you will be back into matter. Matter is eternal. There is no question of a father. Or then you merge in body of father. Prabhupada tells, if a child tells to mother, mother, can I merge back into your stomach? Mother will tell, nonsense. For merging, I have given birth to you. So thus, these things are very, although Krishna is very kind, if you want to merge in Krishna's body, which is the aim of the people who follow Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they understand that God has got a form, but they want to merge in the body. Those who are followers of other impersonal philosophers, they don't even know God has got a form. They want to merge simply that energy which is coming out of God's body. So Krishna will accept. Krishna is very kind. Mother will accept. Come and merge back if you want. But is it not very painful? Mother has given birth to the child so that they can engage in a loving relationship. So a person who has gone on behalf of mother to bring the child back, will he not feel the pain? How much angry he should be when he tells your father does not exist. Son was about to come to family. Just imagine the situation of a father. Son has been out for many, many years. Now he's coming back and somebody deviates him. Oh, father is not there at the address. Father has left. He does not come back. How much anger should be there? So thus a devotee becomes very angry. And rather, if a person does not become angry with the impersonalist, he is not a devotee. In this way we can understand. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, there is so many distractions in college. So how do I control my senses from deviation and focus on our duties?
So the question is, there are so many distractions in the college. How do I control myself from the deviation and focus on the duties? So same thing as we discussed here. One has to preach. One has to first of all hear very nicely, and then one has to preach. Then and pray to Krishna. Our chanting of Hare Krishna is nothing but prayer to Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Save me from Maya. So if we hear nicely and then we preach very nicely, surrender to Krishna completely, then we will surpass. Krishna tells, Mame evya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Ultimately, the deviations, what all the deviations are there, they are the creations of Maya, illusory energy. Who can cross over Maya? Mam evya prapadyante, those who surrender unto me. As soon as I surrender unto Krishna, immediately I am beyond Maya. So with great determination, as we discussed, Dhrada Vrataha, try to surrender. Surrender means follow all the rules and regulations very strictly. Then Maya metam tarantite, we are beyond all the deviations. So we will end here. Granthara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.